Hello, I'm Will and this is Mike with the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And in this video we are looking at issue 26 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. This came with a Wraithlord miniature for the Aeldari Combat Patrol. So we'll be building and painting that up, then looking at its rules and seeing what it can do in our game. So we start off with the build instructions for the Wraithlord. There's quite a lot of parts to this kit because it's actually quite a large model. So we're starting off by putting together the torso. Then we have the legs and the arms, and these come on ball and socket joints, so you can pose them how you like, same with the feet, but do make sure that it will stand up when you do put it together, and make sure the pose actually makes sense. There's also an optional tabard or armoured plate you can put on, and then the head comes as 3 pieces with an optional crest, and that can also be angled how you like. There are multiple hand and weapon options in the kit, and you can put on any of these that you like. There are 2 shoulder mounts for either heavy weapons or smaller guns. The smaller guns can also go on the wrists, and there is the option of the large Ghost Glaive sword. The Combat Patrol variant does have the Ghost Glaive and 1 heavy weapon, the Bright Lance, but you can put whatever weapons on it if you like, or even better, you could put magnets in so you can change them. And there are also some optional tassels and other bits to decorate it, but there it is finished in the loadout that is required for the Combat Patrol. And then we'll be painting it, so we're starting with an all-over base coat of Mephiston Red. It's going to take you a little while to do this because it's quite a large model and it has quite a lot of surface area as well because there's a lot of thin parts. And then using Abaddon Black for some of the interior parts like the ribbing in the joints, underside of the head and things like that, and also the guns, as well as the veins on its back and some of the other details. Then Corax White for the head. You'll probably need to do several thin coats to make sure you get a nice flat colour. Using Screamer Pink for the tabard, so it's a slightly different shade of red to the hard armour. Then Retributor armour for the rune on its back. And then it suggests Nuln Oil to do a recessed shade of the white parts, and Carabed Crimson for an all-over shade on the tabard, although make sure it doesn't pool at the bottom when you stand it up. And it also suggests doing that as a bit of a shade on the sword. You might actually want to do it a little bit thinner than they've shown in this example because it looks a bit blotchy, so you could just water it down a little to avoid that. But that's how it looks up to this point. Then some more Aeldari lore, this time about Spirit Stones, which are the gemstones that all Aeldari wear to capture their soul upon the moment of their death so that it does not get absorbed and devoured by Slaanesh, whom the Aeldari call She Who Thirsts, the chaos god that they brought into being. By putting them in the Spirit Stone, they can then be safely taken away and released into the Craftworld's Infinity Circuit, which is where the Aeldari dead are left to rest, at least in theory. Because, as we see over the page, the Aeldari make use of Ghost Warriors, which are Wraithbone shells, like the Wraithlord, that have a Spirit Stone installed into them, and the spirits of the dead actually animate these constructs to try and make up for their crippling lack of manpower, being a species in decline. Then a bit more lore about the warp, which is essentially a dimension in its own right, but sometimes it bleeds out into the material universe, particularly in places where great emotion has taken place. And these areas are often lawless because they're difficult to control, and so they tend to hide things like pirates and Xenos, or even worse things like demons. And there's some particularly famous regions like this, such as the Eye of Terror, a huge permanent storm that was caused by the fall of the Aeldari when they birthed Slaanesh in the ruins of their old empire, and is now home to the majority of the forces of chaos that reside there, safe from imperial retribution. The Maelstrom is another smaller storm that also houses pirates, Xenos like the Orcs, and the forces of chaos. And the Prosperan Rift, which was created during a war between the secretive Grey Knights Space Marine chapter and the Thousand Suns Chaos Space Marine Legion. Finally, the collection article for the Wraithlord. This is one of those spirit constructs that is animated by the souls of the dead, towering over the Aeldari that it fights alongside. It's very resilient and can also carry heavy weaponry. So as usual, you can give it a name and record its deeds and give it a background. And there on the other side is its datasheet, but I'll let Mike go over that as he takes us into our game.
So before we get into today's game, we can have a look at the datasheet for our new Wraithlord. It's got an 8-inch move, toughness 11 with a 2+ save, 10 wounds, leadership 6 and an OC of 3. 2 ranged weapons, it has a Bright Lance with a 36-inch range, 1 attack, hitting on a 4, strength 12, AP-3, d6+2 damage. And then it has 2 Shuriken catapults that have assault, 18-inch range, 2 attacks each, hitting on 4, strength 4, AP-1, damage 1. And then with its melee weapon, the Ghost Glaive, it actually has 2 profiles and you select which one you want to use when it attacks. So its strike profile has 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 10, AP-3, d6+1 damage, while the sweep profile has 8 attacks, hitting on 4, strength 7, AP-2, 2 damage. Its only other rule is Deadly Demise, where if it dies, you roll a d6 and on a 6 it will do a mortal wound to everything within 6 inches. And also down here is a rule, big guns never tire. So because it has the monster keyword, it can still shoot during the shooting phase even if it is within engagement range of an enemy unit. And it can target any enemy units within range of its weapons, including those that are within engagement range of it. However, if it does fire when enemy units are within its engagement range, they must subtract 1 to hit. And I suppose that would apply to the Psychophage as well, because that is also a monster, so maybe we'll see that in an upcoming game. And so we have our game for today, Scenario 19 Vanguard action. So the Aeldari player will set up their Wraithlord, as you can see on the map there, and the Tyranids have the Tyranid Prime, 2 units of 5 targets and the Von Ryan's Leapers, with 2 deployment zones in the top right and bottom right corners. And if any Tyranids units are destroyed during the game, it respawns at its starting position in the Tyranid player's next command phase, and the Tyranid player will get the first turn. And if the Tyranids can destroy the Wraithlord, the Tyranids win. Otherwise, if the Wraithlord is still alive at the end of the 5th battle round, the Aeldari player wins. And as usual, there are a couple of previews of the upcoming turns. So in the Tyranid turn, you can use your units for what they're best at, and if you can't get them all into melee, prioritise getting your melee units into combat first. And then the Aeldari player doesn't really need to move, they might as well just stay where they are. Remember that the Wraithlord will have to take battle shock if it goes below half wounds. It can shoot in melee with the big guns never tire rule, and when you're picking what melee strike to use, take into account what you're attacking. So the Tyranid Prime being a single model, you might want to just use the strike profile against it and try and kill it in one go, whereas the Von Ryan's Leapers generally have fewer wounds, so you might be better off using the sweep profile instead. And here you can see the victory outcomes, so you can read those and decide which side you want to root for, and we'll set up the board and get straight into it. So here we are deployed. I've got the Tyranid Prime and a unit of 5 termagants up at the top, and the other unit of 5 with the Von Ryan's Leapers at the bottom. And I'll give you a closer look in at our new Wraithlord. And the Tyranids get to go first, so we'll go into Tyranids turn 1. So my movement's fairly simple, Von Ryan's Leapers and Tyranid Prime just going straight towards the Wraithlord, while the Termagants have advanced, because I'm probably only going to get 1 round of shooting from them at the thing. I think we're going to be locked in combat for the rest of the game, so I might as well try and get them around the back. And in the shooting phase, I'll just roll them all together. So we've got 10 shots hitting on 4s, with 4 hits, wounding on 6s. No wounds. And in the charge phase, I'll roll the Tyranid Prime with the Von Ryan's Leapers as well. Tyranid Prime gets in with an 11, and the Von Ryan's Leapers get in with an 8. So we're going in like that. Both of my units will get to fight first. So I know I'll roll the Tyranid Prime first. 6 attacks on the Wraithlord, hitting on 2s. 4 hits. And wounding on 5s. Nothing. And the Leapers, 18 attacks on 3s. 10 hits, wounding on 6s. Well, we got 3. AP minus 1.
3s to save because it has a 2+ base. Oh, we took a wound. I'll take a wound, it doesn't really matter at this point. So the Wraithlord is down to 9 wounds remaining, and then it gets to strike back. I'm going to put the attacks on the Tyranid Prime. We'll actually try out the strike profile, the big hit one. This profile is 4 attacks on 4s, and it's better at killing multi-wound things. Oh, I got 3 hits, and you know what? I might as well actually spend my command point to re-roll that, because I was saving it for a save. No, it's still missed. 8 wounds on 2s, because this is strength 10 against toughness 5. Oh, we failed 2 wounds, actually. I should save the re-roll for that. So only 1 at AP minus 3.
Minus 3 AP goes straight through the Tyranid Prime's armour.
So it just does d6 plus 1 damage. For 7.
So he dies. Tyranid Prime goes down, although he'll be coming back in my next command phase. Let's hope the next one does a bit better. And then we'll be on to the Aeldari turn.
So I do get a shooting phase. I'm not going to fall back because I don't see the point. And thanks to the big guns never tire rule that we got in that little box, I can shoot the weapons at whatever I want, just at -1 to hit. So we'll shoot the Bright Lance at the Von Ryan's Leapers that are in melee because it does multiple damage. But the Shuriken Catapults, I'll shoot at the unit of Termagants closest to the camera because it's better at killing those. Bright Lance, it has 1 shot, normally hitting on a 4, but -1 means a 5 because of big guns never tire. So it missed, but that's fine, I won't re-roll that. And then 2 Shuriken Catapults, I have 2 shots each, same as the ones on the Guardians. Again on 5s because I'm in melee when I'm shooting it, so we get 2 hits at least. 3s to wound, oh, nothing. So then we're on to the combat phase where, well, the Von Ryan's Leapers have strike first anyway.
So another 18 attacks on 3s. 10 hits again, wounding on 6s. 2 this time. 2 saves. We've saved this time. And then the Wraithlord gets to strike back. This time I'll use the sweep profile because it does 2 damage each, but I get twice as many attacks, and the Leapers are only 3 wounds. The strike would be overkill, but these hit on 4s. Well, it's only 2 hits, but since I didn't need to reroll a save, I will reroll 1. No, it's still missed. And these are strength 7, so 3s to wound. 2 wounds at -2. So 6s to save. No.
So it'll just kill 1 because it's 2 damage each.
Now I'll take away this one because that gives more space for the Termagants. And with that, we'll be on to Tyranid's turn 2. So in my command phase, a new Tyranid Prime appears in the same spot as he was deployed. So Tyranid Prime coming in, Termagants moving to envelop the Wraithlord. So after our charges, we've got just about enough space to get one unit of termagants as all of them in range, while the other one only has 3 of them. All my units will get to fight first. So Tyranid Prime, hitting on 2s. I'm actually going to spend a command point to reroll that 1, because I don't really get any saves against the thingy, so 6 hits, wounding on 5s. We got a wound at -1.
A 3+ save. Oh, we failed. I will re-roll that because I want to take 2 damage. Oh, we still failed. We're down to 7.
12 attacks from the 2 leapers on 3s. 8 hits, wounding on 6s. Oh, we got another one at -1.
3. Oh, another damage.
Down to 6. And then there are 8 termagants in range, hitting on 4s. 4 hits, wounding on 6s. 2 wounds from the termagants.
2s. Oh no!
Oh no!
Down to 5. So I will strike back. I think we'll go for the Von Ryan's Leapers this time, actually try and finish them off. I use the sweep profile again, so 8 attacks hitting on 4s. It's still not very good at that. We're going to 3 hits. 3s to wound. Oh, at least they wounded. -2.
6s. Failed them all, so 1 will die and 1 is left on 1 wound. And that's the end of Tyranid's turn 2. On to Aeldari turn 2.
Don't need to take a battle shock test yet. We're at half wounds, not below half strength, and then we will be straight to shooting, where I'll shoot the shuriken catapults at this unit of termagants here, and the bright lance at the Tyranid Prime. Lance hitting on 5. Nope. Shuriken catapults also hitting on 5s. Nothing.
Yeah, and then in the fight phase, because it's the Aeldari turn, one of my units gets to go first, but the Von Ryan's Leaper has fights first, so he goes first, and then I'll pick the Tyranid Prime to go. 6 attacks from the Leaper on 3s. Oh, only 2 hits. 6s to wound. Oh, we got a wound. -1.
3+, we've saved.
And the Tyranid Prime himself on 2s. Ugh, gonna reroll one of those. Into a hit. 4 hits, wounding on 5s. Nothing.
And then for my fighting, I'm actually going to use the sweep profile, and I'm going to go for the unit of termagants at the back that I hit before, because if I kill the Tyranid Prime, another one will just turn up in the next command phase, so it actually doesn't make any difference. So 8 attacks hitting on 4s. Bit more in the box. 4 hits, wounding on 2s, because strength 7. 3 wounds at -2, so we just killed 3 termagants.
3 dead termagants. And it's just the termagants to go. 6 attacks on 4s, 2 hits. Wounding on 6s, nope. And then we'll be on to Tyranid's turn 3. So I mean, I've got battle shock tests to make for the Von Ryan's Leapers. Actually, they're in synapse range, so they are fine because of the synapse from the Tyranid Prime, and the termagants are fine as well. And then we'll be straight to the fight phase, where the Von Ryan's Leaper will be going first. 6 attacks on 3s, 4 hits, wounding on 6s. We got a wound.
3+. Yes, we made it at last. And then the Wraithlord does actually get to go. He's going to attack the Tyranid Prime with the strike profile, because if I do get rid of it, it won't get to fight me this turn or in my turn. Well, we hit twice, but I have a command point now. So I didn't use to save, so I get 3 hits. 2s to wound. They all do.
Yep, goes straight
no
through.
saves, so 3d6 plus 3 damage.
Yeah,
Splat.
Super dead. But on a 4+, he gets to fight. He does. 6 attacks from the Tyranid Prime before he gets squished. I'm going to reroll that miss. Into hit. 6 hits. Wounding on 5s. We got 2 at -1.
Oh, and I've used a command point this phase. Oh no, we actually failed both saves. It's down to 1.
And then the Tyranid Prime dies. So no wounds caused by the termagants. And then we'll be on to Aeldari turn 3.
I do actually have to take a battle check test now, and the Wraithlord is leadership 6. So it's fine. And then I will just do some shooting straight away. We're going to shoot the shuriken catapults at the unit of termagants with more models, and actually the bright lance as well, because I want that leaper to not be dead so it doesn't come back. So these are the shuriken catapults. They hit twice and wound once with a -1.
So 6 dead termagant.
And the bright lance misses. And then the Von Ryan's Leaper gets to go first as usual, and they're also a unit of termagants.
In the fight phase, 6 attacks from the Leaper. You know what, I might as well re-roll one of those, because he's my best melee attacker at the moment. Nope, 4 hits. Wounding on 6s. We got 2.
3+. Oh no, I failed both again! Even if I re-roll one, I can't save it. It's dead. So, I mean, obviously the Tyranids win, but let's just see if it deadly demises on the 6. No.
So the Wraithlord goes down. And that would be a Tyranid victory for this game. So we'll just recap that game for you now. So that was the game for issue 26 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How do you think that went?
Well, it would have gone an awful lot better if I could roll 3+ armour saves. I think I failed at least half, if not 2/3 of the ones I had to do in that.
I think there's a pretty good chance that you'll go to the full 5 rounds.
Especially with command points to re-roll them, I think it, on average, should survive rather longer than that. Being toughness 11 with 10 wounds and a 2+ save. We still got a good idea of what it can do, though, I think. It splattered the Tyranid Prime quite convincingly with its big melee attack, and it's reasonably good against more numerous things as well with the sweep profile. And I didn't actually roll very well for that, but it was still adequate.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem more effective as a roadblock than actual killing things, since it only hits on 4s.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's piloted by a dead guy and he's just kind of been woken up, so it's probably hard to know what's going on. The Wraith units in the Aeldari army are generally very tough compared to the rest of the army. Obviously, we didn't get to see much of it shooting either, because it was only ever hitting on 5s, because it was in melee the whole time. The Bright Lance obviously can do quite a lot of damage in one shot, but it never hit anything. Shuriken catapults are good for clearing out hordes, but again, most of the time it's for 50-50, so you can't necessarily rely on it. It's mostly going to be, in these Combat Patrol games, I think, a thing to go and stand on an objective. And with an OC of 3, it can hold an objective against things that aren't battle line units as well. But with an 8-inch move, it's actually reasonably quick as well. It can get around. It's not like the Terminators, who are really slow.
Yeah, and it's as fast as the Psychophage, but its base is a lot smaller, so it's a lot easier for it to move around as well.
But it'd be quite a good thing to hunt down the Von Ryan's Leapers, for example, because they can only really scratch it, and it can paste them in melee if it catches up with them.
Yeah, and I think it would actually be a pretty good counter to the Psychophage.
Yeah, the Psychophage actually would not be good against it at all. The Psychophage's attacks are mostly good against Space Marines. It's basically the same as the Tyranid Prime, actually, in melee. But the Wraithlord can theoretically kill the Psychophage in one round of attacks with the strike profile, so it remains to be seen how well it'll work in concert with the rest of the Aeldari Combat Patrol, but I think the special rules from the Combat Patrol itself will help it out quite a lot as well, because they can help it hit better and also pass saves, potentially.
Yeah, and I think also we did get a little preview of Big Guns Never Tire. It's quite a complicated rule, or certainly a lot of text to it. We're just learning the basic form of it, where vehicles and monsters, or monsters at the very least, can shoot in melee. Technically, that would apply to the Psychophage. He hasn't explicitly said that. Perhaps we'll include that in a later game or not. And the Wraithlord model, I think, is actually fairly old, possibly one of the oldest you get with this magazine.
Yeah, it's probably from around 2007-8, something like that.
And I think it still holds up fairly well. Certainly a lot more than the ancient metal one that I have.
I honestly don't remember how easy it was to build, because this particular model I built about 15 years ago. I do remember the shoulder pads come in 2 halves and they don't fit together very well. There'll probably be a gap, and I had to fill it with some modelling putty, so be aware of that when you do put it together. And some of the fittings might not just be as close as you'd expect from a more modern kit. And I just so happened to build it with the correct armaments for the Combat Patrol one, because obviously in Combat Patrol you have a fixed loadout. It has a lot more options than this. You can actually give it 2 heavy weapons, and most of the time, from a game point of view, I don't see why you wouldn't, because they don't cost anything if you're doing the full rules. The Ghost Glaive is also just a free upgrade as well, so most of the time you might as well. It's actually a bit of a shame, because the kit itself has quite a lot of modelling options. You can actually have it, there's a hand that allows you to have it holding a gun in its hands like it was shooting it, which I think is actually really cool, but there's not really a game reason to do that. You might as well put 2 guns on the shoulder. You can also give it flamers, and it is actually quite poseable as well. They tell you to put it in a fairly static pose in the build guide, but it does actually have quite a lot of movement in the joints.
Although I think with the Wraith units, having a static pose isn't necessarily a downside, because it sort of fits that silent sentinel, because they're sort of dead spirits inhabiting a construct, so they'll have that kind of passive look that fit them. It's like their souls are half in our universe and half out, or that sort of thing. It comes with a textured base as well, which you don't really see anymore. Or at least you don't normally see it on a generic unit. You'd see them on character units and that sort of thing. Obviously, very good value for money, getting it for £10. I have no idea how much it would normally cost. Probably going to be like £30 or something around that range. So obviously, excellent value for money. But anyway, I don't think there's too much more to say about this game or this issue. As always, if you like this content, do leave a like and subscribe. Tell us how you've been getting on with your Combat Patrol collections. I think it has recently started in the US, so let us know how you've been getting on. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.